Hello YouTube. Today we're going to talk about chest days. I've already covered the topics of arm day, back day, and leg day, and every time I gave you examples of bad and good templates because there is a good and a bad way to approach a split. I'm personally a proponent of splits, and I think it's a great way to train for bodybuilding. But the issue is that it's also the type of methods that if you do it wrong, you're going to do it really wrong. You're going to have terrible results. Whereas something like a full body or a push-pull legs, it's really tough to fuck it up. So let's try and discuss today what is going to make or break your chest day, because everyone wants a big chest. Actually, when I started lifting, just like any other boy, what I wanted was big biceps, of course, big arms, but also a big chest. And therefore, I did a ton of push-ups. The more I grew as a lifter, the less my taste for developed pecs actually was something that was a remnant. And nowadays, I just maintain my chest. But I managed to develop a pretty thick set of pectorals, and therefore I want to help you achieve the same thing. Because the issue is that even though we all want a big chest, the methods that have been used for the most part are pretty horrible, because chest day has become sort of a myth. Everyone has a chest day. We even have a day of the calendar dedicated to chest. That's Monday. Monday is International Chest Day, where all of the benches are taken because everyone is going to max out on the press. The issue is that most of the people that follow that type of chest day and of splits never get anywhere. They never get even close to the results that I've gotten as someone who doesn't even care about developing a big chest. So let's discuss why. The reason is fairly simple and at the same time complicated. You see, I'm of the belief that a bad chest day is a day where you train chest, and a good chest day is a day where you train chest, but as a byproduct. And that's paradoxical because you could think and you could say rightfully that to get a muscle to grow, you have to actually focus on the muscle. And that's true. But what I mean is that there is such a thing as being so focused on a body part that it ends up being a detriment. And you see that all the time. And with the chest day, the idea is quite simple to understand actually, is that the very concept of chest day is flawed. Because it's stupid to have a day where you're only going to train chest. It doesn't make any sense. The muscle is simply not aligned with that type of utilization. To be fair, no muscle is. It's the reason why bro splits are disgustingly stupid. It's because it makes no sense to go to the gym and train only one muscle. It's a complete waste of time for natural lifters. And yet, many people do that. I've reviewed a ton of programs on this channel where every single time I see someone try to develop their trainee's chest, what they do is they just stack as many chest exercises as they can in the template, and they think that that's going to do the trick. Like it's as simple as just the more lifts you do, the more movements you do, the bigger the chest gets. Well, if it was so simple, everyone would just bench press for 3 hours every day, and we would all have watermelon pecs. We'd all have the Schwarzenegger set of pecs. But that's not the case, and we all know that. So how can we natural lifters actually approach the problem and dodge that type of issues? How do we intelligently destroy our chest without falling into the pitfalls of the bro split? Well, for me, a good chest day, as you can find in the description, is one that, as I said, is going to, yes, train the chest, but is not going to be obsessed with it, and is going to actually look at chest training as an excuse to also develop other muscles. And that is going to entail paying attention to synergy. When you go into the gym and you train your chest, yes, the chest is going to be activated. That's very good. But what else gets activated? That's how you dodge the bro split. A bro split ignores the fact that it's impossible to isolate a muscle like the chest. Or if it is possible, it just means you're going to dodge compound movements, which are the bread and butter of any high-level natural bodybuilders. So if you're going to come in and you're going to focus on compound movements, again, to develop your pecs, what is it that you want to look at? The muscles that are going to be activated with them, which are, for the most part, shoulders, triceps, and arms in general. And just like that, you went outside of the box, you're outside of a chest day, and yet you now have created a chest day that is going to be tremendously better because now you're paying attention to synergy. And when you create a program, especially a muscle split, synergy is everything. It makes or breaks the program. It's the reason why I promote the gentleman split. It's a bro split based entirely on muscle synergy and muscle pairings. What muscles make the most sense to train together? With the chest, as I said, it's shoulder and triceps. So Instead of going in and doing a ton of junk volume for the chest, which is what the vast majority of chest days are, because when you do 25 sets for the chest, that's junk volume. 60 to 70% of all of the reps you do absolutely nothing because they're not challenging or your chest is already spent. So in reality, what you're doing is what we call in French, brasser de l'air. You're not really going anywhere. You're just going through the motion, and that has never really built muscle. What builds muscle is intensity, it's breaking down muscle fiber, and it's challenging the muscle. The pump is good, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't build the chest. I didn't build this with the pump. I built it with progressive overload, destroying fibers. Push-ups, when I got started, I did to failure. That breaks down fibers, that is going to grow the chest. It's what you need to focus on, not these 15 sets of cable flies that have you look very good in the mirror, but then actually don't wield any results. There's a difference between the way you look in the gym with your pump and the actual results the workout is going to have. Keep that in mind. You could very well have a chest program that is not going to give you any pump at all, but is going to actually grow the muscle, whereas another one, a bro split, more focused on the pump, will make you feel immediately better, but not actually do anything to your physique. It's the difference between instant gratification of feeling and looking good right now, and the ability to delay that gratification so as to actually obtain a good physique in the future, which is what I already and always tell you to focus on and to prioritize. So we dodged the junk volume for the chest, and what we're going to do instead is we're going to focus on big and heavy compound movements with isolation thrown in. So a good chest day, a day where you want to grow the chest as a muscle group, is going to have one big press. Maybe two if you want, like a big press and an accessory, and then maybe an isolation. But I would say that this is the top range of the spectrum. Meaning that if you start doing more than that, I don't see the point. I don't see the point in doing 4 heavy compound movements for the chest, because this actually delays progression, this delays intensity, because if you want to be able to do like a heavy bench press, a heavy close grip bench, a heavy dip, a heavy weighted push-up, there's a chance that what you're going to actually do at the end is you're going to sacrifice intensity on purpose to sandbag and be able to just get through the workout. And that's not the point. You're not supposed to survive the workout. You're supposed to conquer the workout. So to be able to do that, again, focus on these heavy compound movements on lifts that you actually enjoy. And I insist on that. We are talking about chest day. And immediately in your head, you made the connection with bench press, because that's what bros will tell you. Hey, you want a bigger chest? Just bench, bro. And that's true. For many people, it's going to work. What grew my chest was the bench press. But it's not the only horizontal press in existence. There are other ways to grow your chest. For example, dips. Maybe you're someone who's going to prefer dips. And actually, in many ways, dips are superior to bench press in terms of hypertrophy. It's just that the injury risk is slightly higher if you don't know what you're doing. The shoulder injury risk can also be more prevalent, etc., etc. But if it fits you, do it. Make it your main movement. Some people are not built to bench. I know that boomers are going to tell you that it's bullshit and we can all bench. That's nonsense, and fuck them. They don't know what they're talking about, and at the end of the day, they create injuries and they create shit physiques. Because the best movement for your chest is going to be the one that you enjoy and you can do for a long time. If you're the type that gets injured on the bench every 4 months, guess what? The bench is not for you. So find something else. You could even do weighted push-ups. Again, look at calisthenic athletes. Look at the size of their chests. They have plenty of size there. And yet they're lightweights. Why? Because it works. Body weight movements work. Weighted push-ups work. At the end of the day, it's also a press that works the chest. So pick something that you love, always, first and foremost. And don't treat, again, the support muscles that are going to work with your big movement as just an accessory. After your big heavy compounds for the chest, keep in mind that you're just getting started. Like that's a part of the workout, but it's just a part of the chest day. The chest day cannot just be a day where you work chest. As I said, it's the paradox of chest days that by itself, it means that the concept is flawed. It cannot be good. So you have to also look at the rest. The rest that is going to make up more tonnage and volume and have a bigger incidence on your overall training and overall physique. With the isolation movements, you're going to pair with your chest exercises. So for example, what you could be doing is you could come in and you could start with a heavy press for the chest, and then you could do another compound movement for a different set that is going to be a vertical press. If you want to put the accent on the shoulders, instead of doing a secondary press for the pecs, it's fairly possible if that's your goal. You could even do something like a row. In the program I put in the description that I quickly drafted to make you understand the way to actually schedule a split, what you could be doing is to also have a focus on the upper back, because guess what? Just because it's a day where you work chest doesn't mean that it disqualifies working the upper back. You can work the front and the back. I know that we hyper focus on beach muscles and that's good and all, but keep in mind that other people can also see your back. And the worst part is that your back can be seen from the front, meaning that it's going to make you look better overall to develop everything. Don't be that guy with toothpick legs and toothpick everything and just a big set of pecs. It's ridiculous. On top of that, you quickly find out that the limiting factor for the growth of your pectorals might very well be all of the areas that you ignore. You might be limited by the strength and the size of your arms or the health of your shoulders because you ignore them all the time. So don't ignore them. Also prioritize shoulder and tricep work, put them in the program. Look at all of these muscles that you never focus on because you don't have the time. You don't have the time because you don't make time for them because you spend all of your points on muscles like the chest, which don't need to be hyper focused on that much. Again, 2 to 3 sets is going to be plenty. Actually, for the chest, I recommend most natural lifters focus more on frequency than do volume, meaning that volume is good, but if you do one day where you work your chest throughout the week and that's it, you are going to get outdone by a guy who works chest 2 to 3 times a week with less volume, but a much more precise and much more intensity, and that actually gets it done times and times again. Always remember that. It's always better to be more conservative with your approach, keep some reps in the tank, and get the ability to do it again in 2 or 3 days. Always. Repeatability is the bread and butter of natural bodybuilding. If there's something you can do, but you can only do it every 15 days, it's not a good lift, it's not a good movement. And the same logic also applies for those templates. So look at the chest and put those chest movements in, then look at the Lego blocks you can add around the chest that make a ton of sense. Put all of these movements there. I just got stung by a mosquito behind my back. Jesus. And always make sure to expand as much as possible. When you get started, it's fine to be conservative, as I said, because when you start, it's okay to have one chest movement and maybe one vertical press and one bicep movement. I understand that not everyone is going to have the ability to do these laundry list exercises, but you have to work towards it more and more. You have to more and more slap in more movements to your program. I always tell you guys that a good upper body day is one with a ton of exercises. And on the opposite, a good lower body day tends to be more minimalistic, and it's only logical. There are many more muscles and small muscles you're going to have to isolate when you do your upper body days compared to the lower body. It's not an excuse to just do squats on lower bodies. You can still put those small muscle groups as sets on these days, but it just makes more sense on the upper body days because of the synergy. So the more you expand, the more you're going to slap these exercises. As I said, you could start with just something like chest, shoulders, and triceps, very minimalistic, but it can slowly transform into chest, biceps, triceps, shoulders, chest, biceps, shoulders, triceps, forearms, and even maybe upper back, certain parts of the upper back, even maybe calves at some point. We can just break the rules, fuck the rules. Who decided that a chest day has to be only upper day? You can also work the small muscles of the calves that are very easy to superset. And just like that, you went from from something that was extremely restrictive, a chest day, to an upper body day that is actually paradoxically going to yield better results for your chest. You are going to not only look better overall for all of your muscles, but because you're also going to focus on other muscles, you're going to be restricted in the amount of time and amount of work you can give to your chest. And by definition, it's going to mean that that chest is also going to be treated with more care. And care and the approach you have towards the way you build the muscle has a direct impact on the way the muscle is going to look. I think that is fairly obvious. Now, for the specs of a chest day and the things you can actually abuse that are going to make it very easy for you to apply the advice I'm giving you in this video. Since chest isn't very cardio intensive, or I hope it's not, if you are out of breath after a set of bench, you really have to lose some weight and to work on your heart and lungs, for the most part, you're going to have the ability to do super intense with supersets. It's very easy to be doing a press and a pull. Super easy. A press and a row, a bench and a row is like this. It's not going to tire you out, and it's something I highly encourage. Not to be able to have a perfect ratio of push and pull, because who cares about that, but just for tonnage. Additional tonnage for the upper back is something you can always take. Throw in a dumbbell row and you'll see how much gains you're going to get for free, because this is space that you would have utilized anyways. It's something that is especially bad with upper days for bro split, where I see guys do a set of cable flies and then they sit on their ass looking at their phone for 5 minutes. One, you don't need 5 minutes to rest for chest. Two, why don't you do something in between? These are the same guys that complain afterwards they have small arms. Yeah, it's because you spent literally dozens of hours just looking at Reddit or Facebook or whatever you look at on your phone, instead of doing an exercise that would actually help you develop these parts. So superset a ton. And also get that volume in for that upper body, get it in. You will find that these small muscles you can superset recover super fast. So do not be shy and throw in these sets. You will quickly be warned if these sets are too much. You'll feel it. But for the most part, you'll find that if you're conservative and you do it slowly, it's not going to be the end of the world. Just make sure you don't lose yourself in drop sets that I see too many people do with chest, where for some reason, drop sets and chest are like, they go together so well. It's like ant dives and olive oil. For some reason, people just associate them. And every time you see someone train chest, they always have drop sets programmed. Why? A good old 3 to 6 to 10 is going to work perfectly well. You can do drop sets if you like, but keep in mind that there is an issue with drop sets, and it's that you are artificially lowering the intensity. So what you're doing is that if you actually go to failure with the drop sets, it might very well be that the chest is spent and you're past your relevant baseline. So now it's something that is very closely related to junk volume. It's not bad, it's not wasted, but if you do it too much, like the example in the description, it's a waste of time. You're just doing reps for nothing. So don't do that. Instead, again, train these neglected muscles as much as possible. And on the other hand, if you really are someone who wants a big chest, understand that it would always be better to actually spread the frequency of the chest work throughout the week. So don't hesitate to apply the philosophy I'm sharing with you for the chest as well. Let's say you have an arm day. Why don't you do some chest exercise on the arm day? It's not forbidden. There's not the chest police that's going to come and arrest you because you train chest on something that's not a Monday or a chest day. Everything is permitted. So get your sets of ring push-ups in. Get your sets of ring flies in. Of all of these small isolation for the muscles of the chest you want. Maybe even a compound like a close grip. All of that is fairly possible. And all of that accumulates volume for the chest. But not only that, it also is going to help with higher quality tonnage because the chest is going to be fresher, so you can go to failure and do something relevant, and also lower injury risks. I'm guaranteeing you that if you could actually run a test or run an actual questioning or poll, we would find that the type of people that injure their pecs are for the most part people who do chest days and bro splits, because they only train the chest once a week. So the chest only goes through that one cycle of recovery, and therefore it's not really prime and ready when it comes to tendon accumulation of fatigue. So someone who is actually going to challenge that chest more often, send blood into the area, is going to have a healthier chest. A healthier chest equals a chest you can work more often, and a chest that is going to be bigger overall. So this is mostly the advice that I have for today. As you have understood, my main advice is the same I gave you for the other videos in the description, and that is to break the mold of bro splits. Every day that only concerns itself with one muscle group is a wasted day. It's wasted efforts. It's always so stupid too, because the more you train, the more you realize it. Why would you go to the gym to only train abs or to only train triceps? That is beyond stupid. You went through the trouble of going to the gym. Get your worth out of it. Don't spend all of that time actually wasting energy and doing something like this that is not going to actually give you any results. And that is going to be the end of this video. So I hope it was something that is going to help you, guide you towards more productive chest days, move away from more dubious methods of programming, if we can even call it bro split programming, and develop that body part if it's something that you see for yourself in your physique and that you desire in your heart. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.